If you don't like attention, these fragrances are not going to be for you, because what we're talking about today are some summer fragrances that people just can't walk past without thinking that you smell good. And I'm not saying that every single person that you pass is going to say, hey, you smell good, right? If you're walking down a street with a whole bunch of people around you, that's not going to be the case. But wearing these will significantly elevate that chance. For a lot of people, that is the end goal. That is what brings so many new people into this hobby on a daily basis. I mean, let's face it, most people, they just want to smell good. But on the other hand, there are going to be some people who maybe don't feel comfortable with that. They don't really want to be approached by people that they know or people that they maybe don't know, right? They just don't really want that. They want to keep to themselves. These would not be really for you in that case, because a lot of these have pretty loud delivery, they're head turners, and they kind of call for that type of attention. It's just like driving a loud, fast car that is a bright color. You know, if you don't like attention, you don't want that, because people are going to stop and stare. And that's kind of the equivalent of what these fragrances are to some extent. Ferragamo Uomo Casual Life. It really gives off a nice, bright, fresh, uplifting, and easygoing smell that really is pretty fitting for the name. It's got violet leaf, musk, ambroxan, lemon, and then kind of an oddball coffee note. So coffee is not at the forefront. It's not a coffee fragrance, right? All of the other notes that I listed off there, the violet leaf and the lemon, those are much more prominent. But the coffee just gives it a little hint of kind of a sweet roasted coffee bean smell as you get further along into the mid and dry down. But it does open up fresh, and it stays fresh primarily throughout the entirety of the scent. So when you take a look at Ferragamo Uomo and Uomo Signature, those are much more suitable for fall and winter time. Casual Life and Urban Feel, more spring and summer. Casual Life and Urban Feel, which one's better? It's completely up to you. It's going to be personal preference. I like them both, and they're both affordable. If you can't decide, you can get both. But I will tell you this, more often than not, I do kind of find myself gravitating more towards Casual Life, if that means something to you or not. And as far as mass appeal goes, between those two, either of them are going to work fine and do a great job. And talking about fall and winter fragrances, the original Uomo and Uomo Signature are killer head turners too, but again, we're focusing on summer scents today. I believe you're looking at around, I don't know, $30 to $35 for Casual Life. Same thing with Urban Feel too. So these are kind of borderline on the cheapy category line. Again, sometimes it might be a little bit closer to 40. So they're right there, but for the most part, they're pretty obtainable. So we're gonna jump over to a niche fragrance up next. It's so affordable though that it's, you know, designer priced. It's Cosmic Pepper by Mancera. So it's new as of the past year or so, and it's right around $100 on discounters. It retails for $180, discounter rate is $100, and sometimes a little bit less. I've seen it into the mid-90s. And I would imagine over time, it'll continue to drop even more. I mean, look, the original Cedrat Boisé Eau de Parfum is down to as low as $65 sometimes for 120 ml full presentation. $65 is the lowest I've seen it. Now, sometimes it'll be maybe $70 or $80, but still just practically insane for niche. And so Cosmic Pepper, again, it's one of the newer kids on the block. And I think this one was met with a little bit of confusion when it first came out, because although it is named Cosmic Pepper, it's not as peppery or spicy as I believe some people would expect it to be, and that's kind of the point of contention with this one. At least from what I've gathered online, looking around and kind of looking at feedback on this one. And really, people got a good point, right? If pepper is in the name and it's not super strong, it's super peppery, that might be misleading for those who are looking for that. Kind of like if you name a fragrance oud and then there's hardly any oud in there. It kind of gets some people's hopes up. But I will say there is a kind of a spicy, peppery kick off the opening, and the way I've described this one is it's like a little bit of La Nuit de l'Homme, aromatic, peppery spiciness meets kind of a creamy, smooth Chanel Allure Homme Sports style. It's not a clone of one or the other. It does kind of combine a little bit of both, and then it does its own thing too. But just to give you an idea of what category or categories this one would fit into, that's kind of how I like to describe it, because most people are familiar with both of those fragrances, so it's a good starting point. And so it's pretty safe to say that if you like La Nuit de l'Homme and you like Chanel Allure Homme Sport, maybe Sport Eau Extreme, there's a pretty good chance that you would like this one too. Now this is essentially, I mean, about the same price as La Nuit de l'Homme, maybe a little bit more, and it's more affordable than the Chanel, so it kind of fits right there in the middle. Although, in order to layer them together, you can't do that. You can't buy La Nuit de l'Homme and Chanel Allure Homme Sport for $100. So this is a really nice hybrid scenario with its own twist that works well in the summer. It might not seem like it, cosmic pepper, but that peppery, spicy kick does wear down a little bit, and it does kind of have a nice, smooth, slightly creamy, but still fresh and aromatic overall delivery, lending it to be a good pick for summer. I mean, if you can wear Eau de Parfum in summer, you could definitely wear this one, no problem. Carolina Herrera, Chic for men. You know, they're putting out all these flankers for Bad Boy and things like that. What about a flanker of this? I mean, this is an easily forgotten one that has just kind of been left to do its own thing and kind of die on its own hill. But it's really good and it's affordable. Why not put out some flankers of these? Come on. It's got watermelon, pepper, lemon, sandalwood. It's a little bit more of a refined version of Abercrombie & Fitch First Instinct is how I look at it. Now, First Instinct has melon with the pepper and the sandalwood. This has watermelon with pepper and sandalwood, and not just going off of notes, but when you actually smell them as well. And I've spent a lot of time with First Instinct and First Instinct Extreme. I love them. This one definitely gives off that impression. And actually the opening of this one is a little bit more citric. It doesn't have the same type of sweet melon opening like First Instinct. Again, a little bit more of a citrus, brighter, sharper approach, but nonetheless, still somewhat similar. And again, they're not clones of each other because there are plenty of differences as well, but just kind of putting it into a category, that's how I would describe it. And this one's going to be a little bit more expensive than First Instinct, but not by a lot. You know, First Instinct, I believe, is, you know, $20 to $25. This one is in the $30 range. Not a huge discrepancy in price. Depending on what your budget allows for, you can go either way. I would say that Chic is going to be a little bit more mature, a little bit more refined, whereas First Instinct does give off more of a teenager, younger feel. Let's get in on some clone action up next with Haramain Amber Oud Blue Edition. So we've actually got a clone of Bleu de Chanel here, and more specifically, Bleu de Chanel Eau de Toilette, which is of course the originator of the line and really kind of the freshest. Now, don't get me wrong, the Eau de Parfum is fresh, and the Parfum is fresh, but with a bit more of a depth and complexity behind it too. But they all generally are kind of fresh, blue, soapy fragrances. Although I would say the Eau de Toilette is probably going to be the brightest of them all, okay? Except for the fact that it's expensive and doesn't perform that good relative to its price point. That's going to be the main cause of concern with making a purchase like Bleu de Chanel Eau de Toilette. That's something that holds people back. Because these days, I would honestly point most people into buying the Parfum and then the Eau de Parfum next. And I would almost say if you get one or both of those, you really don't need the Eau de Toilette. But if you can get something that smells very close to the Eau de Toilette for spending less money, why not go this direction? It does have the kind of grapefruit, birch, slight smokiness that Bleu de Chanel is known for, just at a more affordable cost. And this one also really isn't beast mode either, so don't get your hopes up. It's kind of about on par with Bleu de Chanel Eau de Toilette. So it doesn't perform better, but it smells close and it's cheaper. Speaking of poor performance, okay, this one, it's going to be passed up for that reason. But I'm telling you guys, when you smell this, it is just so good. It's John Varvatos Artisan. So easy to overlook. We've got Artisan Pure, we've got Artisan Blue, and all of the new ones coming out, and just all of the other popular Artisan fragrances and even the non-Artisan ones, right? This is where it all started, right here, as far as the Artisan line is concerned. We wouldn't have Artisan Pure if we didn't have this, right? And man, it is so good. It's got clementine, tangerine, orange blossom, and musk, along with quite a few other notes as well, but essentially, I mean, really, it's a whole bunch of orange. You see this one get compared to Clinique Happy, which, I mean, that's just kind of a classic, right? It's expensive at retail and Personally, I think John Varvatos Artisan is better in just about every way, especially when you're talking discounted price compared to discounted price of Clinique Happy. There's no reason not to just get Artisan, because Clinique Happy doesn't perform good either. And I think this one has immensely better quality. I think the blend is better. I think this is just an incredible smelling warm weather gem. And we live in a world where if it doesn't perform for 10, 12, 14 hours, even though we might wash it off after 8 hours or so, then people don't want anything to do with it, right? We've definitely been spoiled by beast mode fragrances. And look, I love them too, right? But I still try to make time to work in and to appreciate and enjoy beautiful smelling fragrances, even though they might not last as long. And this is the perfect example here. It's going to be a great compliment getter, with the limiting factor being its performance. But if you spray this one on heavily, and within those first few hours, I mean, people are just going to drool over this stuff. It smells so good. Up next, we have another niche, but this one is even cheaper than Mancera a lot of times. I mean, I've seen 100 ml bottles of this going for like 60 bucks. This is a tester that I bought for, I think, $60 to $64 off of Fragrance Net. Came with a cap. It is Remarkable People. So you can see on the back there's a barcode, sticker, and then just some general warnings. I don't believe it says tester on the bottle, but I'm almost certain that it is. This one's got champagne, grapefruit, and some cardamom in here. And I'll tell you what, that fizzy, bubbly champagne accord comes through, and it smells absolutely incredible. I mean, man, it is just bright and bubbly, a little bit creamy, delicious smelling. What a good fragrance. Now, again, this is going to be a little bit more sweet, but not to the level that you would expect given the note breakdown as a whole. And some people are going to say, I can already see it, that's not a summer fragrance. I mean, at the end of the day, again, when we're looking at just the current trend of how things are going, summer fragrances, winter, fall, everything's getting sweeter. People are getting accustomed to that stuff. You can't tell me that you can't wear this in summer. Especially because a lot of people are probably going to be working indoors anyway, where it's 70 degrees. Why can't you wear this in 70-degree weather? If you work a job outdoors in construction, you wouldn't want to wear this, but you might not want to wear much of anything anyway. So it all depends on what you're doing and what you're comfortable with at the end of the day. I think this would be a great summer evening scent, and that's when I would elect to wear this one. I wouldn't choose this for summer daytime. I've got plenty of other options. But this is definitely something with uniqueness to the extreme. There's not another fragrance out there, designer or niche, that really smells like this. You will stand out and turn heads big time. Next up, we have Nautica Midnight Voyage. So Nautica, they're kind of the king of fresh, summery fragrances, and especially the Voyage line, very popular. Midnight Voyage is not as popular as the original, but more popular than probably a couple of the others like Heritage and N83 and stuff like that, which you hardly ever hear about. This one's got mint, pink pepper, and amber, or kind of giving off an ambroxan feel in this case. Smells nice. Blue, soapy, fresh out of the shower, blue fragrance. And blue scents, they work for summertime. They work for any time of the year, but especially for summer when you want to smell clean and fresh and you just don't want to take any chances with it. And there are so many blue fragrances out there, so it's just a matter of kind of honing in on what you like, what type of style you like, determining a budget, and then you can really go from there, because they range anywhere from 20 bucks to multiple hundreds of dollars if you start getting into niche blue fragrances, which, yes, those are a thing as well. So really, you got to get a budget narrowed down first, and that will make your shopping process a lot easier, because there are the extremes, but then there are also plenty in the middle, $40, $50, $60 and beyond. So just depends on what you're willing to spend. This one's going to be a little bit more on the affordable end, but still works very well. Next up, we have Escentric Molecules, Molecule 01. Okay, so this one is ISOE Super. And that's it, right? So this line, the Escentric Molecules kind of line, I don't know, what's the line called? Because there's, I don't know. Somebody help me out. They've got some that combine notes, and then they have a line like this which stand apart. So like Molecule 2 is ambroxan. And that could have been in here too, and I was gonna put it in here. I can't find my bottle right now. So Molecule 01 it is, which to be fair, either way, it works. And this stuff is known for being a great layering scent, so you could layer this over top of legitimately anything, and it's gonna help to boost that scent up. Of course, you can wear it standalone as well, and the key thing to take away here is it will cause olfactory fatigue or nose blindness or anosmia or whatever you want to call it, meaning, and especially if you spray it up front, that scent radiating up constantly will burn your nose out. You won't be able to smell it anymore, and then you'll be saying that it performs for 2 hours and you'll be misleading everybody on the internet. So keep that in mind. Spray it on the back of your neck if you want to have a chance of being able to smell it. If you don't care, load yourself down all over the place, and if you can't smell it, other people will. ISO E Super is found in just so many popular fragrances, whether they list it off or not. An aroma chemical that's become more and more popular, most notably used in Dior Homme 2020. That's one where they list it off and they're proud of it. That's probably a marketing angle for them. And look at Dior Homme 2020, absolute compliment destroyer. Lacoste Eau Fraiche. So it's Lacoste 1212 Blanc Eau Fraiche, whatever way you want to cut it. It's got ginger, grapefruit, lemon, and apple. Beautiful. Smells great. I bought this one at retail when it first came out. I wouldn't really do that. You know, you can get this one on discounters, so definitely go that direction. Because why buy it at retail if you can get it for less? I buy essentially all the new fragrances at retail because I want to check them out and share my thoughts. But, you know, I wouldn't go out and buy this at retail is kind of what I'm getting at. So if it's out of stock on discounters right now, choose something else, wait for it to come back into stock, and just save money. Because while this does smell really nice, I really like how it smells, there are plenty of other scents out there that do provide a similar experience for less. So again, if it's not in stock, don't beat yourself up over it, because I don't know for a fact if it's in stock on discounters right now or not. We're gonna end this video with Tumi Atlas. They've been up and coming as far as fragrances are concerned. Obviously, they're a company that I believe specializes in luggage, really cool, expensive luggage that I would like to try out, but probably never will. And their fragrances, they're actually really good. My favorite, which is probably one of their most expensive, is 19 Degree, which is an extrait. It's not a summer scent, but it's amazing. You gotta try that one. Give it a sample. But back onto summer scents, Atlas is one of few. It's got bergamot, vetiver, grapefruit, geranium, kind of green, minty, fresh, bright with a nice woody undertone. It smells nice. I mean, not much else to say about it. Not completely unique. Some of their other offerings, more notably their cooler weather offerings, are more exciting. But for a fresh summer scent, you're not going to offend anybody with this. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. Some fragrances that you just can't wear them if you're not willing to get compliments. So if you're introverted, if you don't want attention, choose something different, because people are going to smell these and they're going to at least be thinking in their head that you smell good, and they might even be inclined to tell you about it, which for a lot of people, that's the end goal. I'll link all these down below so you can pick them up, buy them, check them out on discounters if you would like to. I've got a mailing list and texting list you can sign up to. So just recently we had Les Beaux Paradise Garden come into stock, Light Blue Forever, the one gray, which is discontinued, that one popped up. Just stuff like that. Rare, hard to find things coming into stock that I send out texts and emails for. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.